Local source for home comfort.
All right, this has been quite the two-day event here across the area. As is generally the case with a high-end event, a lot of people see it, but not everybody. You know, I was sitting here this afternoon thinking of ways to put this into perspective, and I certainly think, and I'm going to share this at 6. I'm not done making the graphic yet because I'm still undecided how I want to list it, but I want you to tune in at 6. I've got some interesting perspective comparing this to both the flood of 1937 and other major events we've had over the years, including tornado outbreaks, major ice storms, and I think you might find that very interesting. Here's some other rain totals, just some clarification, and I will also share that at 6, because we could spend 20 minutes on this storm tonight. This comes out to be about a 0.5% chance of this happening in any given year, or in other words, it's a 1 in 200 year occurrence, this type of extreme flood that we had last night, and I'll explain to you the methodology of that again coming up at 6. Lesser totals around that Kentucky. Thankfully, it's quiet. I've never been happier to see a quiet radar out there tonight. And the sky tracker is quiet. It's still humid out there. The humidity has not left yet, but in my opinion, now obviously we're going to pray for our neighbors and friends, as I know many of you have a total loss from your home or a big claim to make, or you lost a car. Thankfully, we don't have any fatalities or injuries. That's always the best part about this when we get to report that, at least that we haven't heard so far. But in terms of something that the majority of people got impacted by, the lightning. I mean, Trent and I both agree, and it was an easy decision for us to say this. This has to be in the top 5 for most prolific lightning events this area has ever seen. And that's a big statement, but it's true. Because it's not the fact that there was prolific lightning for like an hour. Here's the loop. It just went on and on and on. I mean, there was probably about a solid 6 to 8 hour period, depending on where you were, of just constant lightning with those storms reforming. So why on earth did this all happen? Well, to look at that, I showed this yesterday and on our Facebook Lives last night. We have to look at the winds, what caused these storms. At the surface, in the lower levels, between 5 and 13,000 feet of the atmosphere, we had winds coming out of the southwest, originating from the Gulf of Mexico. They met with a front. Think of that like a wall. It's a stationary front. And you can see this magenta plume here that indicates extremely high moisture in the atmosphere. So the winds are originating from the Gulf of Mexico, and they're ramming into this front. So the storms form near the ground, and then what happens? The storms go up in the atmosphere, billowing huge clouds, and then they get influenced by the winds way up, closer to the jet stream, at 20,000 feet. And where were those winds blowing, you ask? This is the best visual I can give you for why this happened. Winds were coming from this way, the storms formed down the front, they got tall enough, and then they got blown downwind just repeatedly along this front. And this is your visual representation for why the storms were oriented in that fashion, and they just sat there and trained, because you had literally air blowing into a not moving front, and when the air does that, it has to go somewhere, and the only place for it to go is up, and that's what caused all the rain. Rain totals across Illinois, Missouri, the purple indicates 3 to 5 inches of rain. This first stage of red, 5 to 7, the orange, 7 to 9.